Alrighty, so everybody got to see that little snippet of
No response. Right, so.
Alrighty, we'll call this meeting order with everybody have a chance to look at the agenda. Anybody have any conflicts? Otherwise, we will consider the agenda approved. Madam Auditor, would you read the previous minutes, please?
October 15, 2024, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 AM with Gene Hyden, Chair presiding. Members present were Schultz, Dozark, Hyden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. The board approved clerk of court fees for September 2024. The board approved the recorder's quarterly report, July 24 through September 24. Sarah Messick, recorder, discussed with the board on the recorder's quarterly report for July 24 through September 24 and the fee modernization project, new legislation. The motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Dozark to approve the following resolution. 2024-32, resolution of the Board of Supervisors to provide written notice of withdrawal from the Iowa Precinct Atlas Consortium 28E agreement. Voting aye, Schultz, Dozark, Hyden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the treasurer, recorder, and auditor department's credit cards with the $2,500 credit limit. Motion passed unanimously. The motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Dozark, to approve third floor of the courthouse in the judge's office mini split installed by Carroll Control Systems for $8,735. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Mulbauer, seconded by Schultz, to approve the new IT office mini split installed by Carroll Control for $10,200. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the first floor of the courthouse in the current VA engineers and Paul's office for 3 mini splits by Carroll Control Systems for $15,470. Motion passed unanimously. The board discussed the lighting in the basement of the Crawford County Community Services Building. DMU will look at the project on October 22nd. No action was taken at this time. On motion, duly seconded, board adjourned 11:09. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available in the courthouse at Friday, 4:30 PM preceding the next meeting. Dun, dun, dun.
All right, anybody have any corrections, additions? Subtractions? Okay.
I guess just on that whole business kind of thing, but I mean, the basement lighting, I mean, that shouldn't be the hold up on that. As far as that goes, let's get new lighting because there's no lighting down there.
Right. I think we're just trying to make sure that
upstairs.
rebates are available.
Okay,
You know what I mean? I think that's what the
and then
discussion.
the upstairs would probably,
The upstairs is a whole different deal because
Right.
there's antique lighting up there and things that are inefficient. And so I got a call, the gentleman who was coming from the region who's the expert in all of that, had a funeral today, so we had to postpone that until the 29th. So
the meeting that was supposed to be today.
the day, yeah, so that's been postponed. I can't argue with the funeral, so just keep things moving. But the
Sure.
painting, I did get the final bill that everything is complete there. The vaccine room has been painted. The patches have been put in and painted over. I haven't approved this bill yet because I want to make sure that the paint that kind of got on the windows and the outside I want everything perfect before I approve this final bill. And so Kim is gonna run over there because she's very aware of what she needed to have fixed and let me know yet today. So they're working on that. But otherwise, those have been approved. Standing reports by supervisors. Who has something really interesting today? I'm looking for a volunteer. If you didn't go first last week, you can go first this week.
I think you made Kyle go first last week.
Okay, I should write it down and do better.
Couple of things. I had an email last week from Sandy Bupke from Monona County. She's zoning and environmental health. That's why I heard they're combined. Sandy's on the executive board at ISAC with me.
Okay.
She'd emailed me. They are looking at updating their commercial wind turbine setbacks. and I'm gonna read this, and adding cryptocurrency to the regulations. I found that interesting. I'm not sure what that all
I have a
means.
clue.
That would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah,
I was listening to a bunch of stuff on Fox Business this morning about currency.
so it'll be interesting to see what she comes back with on that, but Terry was very gracefully helped me dig up our setbacks and wind turbine, amendments and that, even though she is pretty swamped right now, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
It is interesting, cause I don't think,
You
I
have
think
things to
Monona County
do.
has a wind turbine.
On occasion.
I don't think Monona County has a wind turbine.
Unless they think more coming in, or they have,
I think they might be taking Woodbury County's lead, trying to protect the Lost Hills from, for their natural historic beauty.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, that is a big part of theirs is the Los Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have it in place before they start thinking about it, you have a
Too late.
possibility of being sued for changing the
I'm
rules.
guessing that's probably what's spurring Monona
Or
County.
in the construction, permitting. I mean, we've never really made a full-blown ordinance.
right, change some of the setbacks and
Yeah,
that, but,
Right.
so,
And we've
I know, I
never,
was thinking we amended an ordinance, but it's not, it's in that application.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I emailed it on to her after this
Yeah.
morning.
and it seems to be effective because no one has come wanting to, put wind turbines in our county.
They're eventually they'll come, but they'll have to ante up to the people.
Right,
And that's kind of was our objective. I mean, don't be, not so much just money, but
Right. And then in the
Get-
decommissioning
make,
part also.
you know, get an honest
Absolutely.
agreement, you know?
Um,
Instead of forcing people's hand.
so yeah, they're trying to get in front of that and do some work there. Another interesting thing, I got an email this week. I got accepted to the state ECI board, Early Child of Iowa, which is really interesting because 2 years ago,
Excuse me.
Annette Coster asked me, she said, we are really short board members. You've been a past chair of the ECI board. They said because you are the current chair, they went do something different. And this was, mind you, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I actually first got on. I said, well, I could sign up for that. Never heard nothing back. Out of the blue, this last week, they said, you were accepted.
Put your name out of the hat.
They probably are digging the bottom of the barrel. So.
What is that? They were hoping for another application.
Right.
Nice.
What, I guess I'm not aware of the ECI board.
Early Childhood of Iowa, it's what Gene chairs for our region here. The state board, they said it'll be probably a quarterly Zoom meeting. To kind of
You
discuss.
chair it though?
No,
No, you're just on board.
just on the board.
Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Well, it's another one of those that the funding is a real issue this year.
Right.
Really, really tight on money everywhere. And I don't understand it. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's.
What is, if you don't mind, what all's in, there's a knot over there, so if you give us a quick
It's
explanation
kind
of
of,
what all's
it
in
would
there.
be in our Zoom meeting that we have, there's, everybody, it's BV, Crawford and SAC, three of us. And, it's I Smiles, it's the,
Nurse care consultants and,
every program kind of falls under that. And so, the
All the
money.
public health
Yep.
stuff, then
I'll-
I smiles,
I'll
and that's
get
the
you an
dentist, that's the
agenda here real
dental
quick,
stuff,
'cause we
yeah.
have a meeting on the Wednesday morning, so Annette sends out a lot of stuff about changes and updates, and she does a real good job. Reminder of our meeting, let's just look at the agenda, what we're all gonna talk about, that might help you out a lot.
they get funds that go towards
These different.
different programs. And it is kind of a neat agency, cause you get to see the funds actually do a lot of good work.
They really, and when they're being cut short, it
So
really.
do the funds go to the public schools? Do they
Yes.
go to Head
Yes,
Start?
yep.
Do they go
Some of
to-
them, yep.
Some, they go to different entities.
Yep,
Our public health, don't, they,
they're,
contract to provide some of these
They
services and
do.
get funds
That's where
through
their money
ECI.
comes through.
Like the I Smiles or the
Yeah,
Nurse
I
case
Smiles is
consultant.
one that is,
preschool
Always.
tuition assistance.
and they have a hard time with that because it's harder to get a dentist to agree to come over because of funding. There's no money for it. But that's one that we really think is important because if you have rotten teeth as a child, it affects everything that you're learning, your health, your general health, and so there's.
Do we still provide some of the ECI funds through Great Plains to put a counselor in schools?
Yes,
I thought.
yes, yes.
So it's things
yes,
like
yes,
that.
Yes, yes.
Funds all come from the state of Iowa?
Mhm.
Early Child of Iowa, what does your child care business need? Please complete a survey and return it to Buena Vista, Crawford, SAC, Early Childhood of Iowa. And they send out a lot of surveys to people to see what needs aren't being fulfilled. What items would you like BVCS, ECI to consider funding to assist your child care program, help with child care, positive behavioral support, nursing consultants of Crawford County? But what I'm always interested in is how much of the money actually comes to Crawford County, because we have to ask for it. And I always am very curious to see how that's proportionately distributed.
And if I remember right, for our 3 counties, BV's auditor does the
Fiscal agent.
fiscal agent.
Yep, that's right. That is correct. They do. Well, and that's kind of how we ended up.
You don't want that job?
Which Tony Reed has gotten into the
Fiscal agent.
wheelhouse of being fiscal agents for a number of ECIs in the state.
Usually,
Cause for some that can't find one.
yeah. No, he's, yeah.
Behavioral,
All
mental
kinds of
health
fiscal
support and
agent
support
jobs.
for child, in the
Do any-
BVCS
I got a
Early
meeting
Childhood
there
Iowa
Friday.
Community Plan. So.
But
it's-
it was interesting, even last year, I remember during Child Abuse Prevention Month, and Annette come in, she'd asked me, do you wanna reapply? And I said, oh, Annette, no, I'm fine, if they, I'm not gonna go through that process again, so
They
I thought it
do
was.
have a hard
I thought it was
time,
done.
even
So-
keeping people on the board, because it's just, the meetings are really long. Because there's so many reports from, all of the different entities. And it's so hard because there's not a lot of money, to spread around, and it's just sometimes kind of frustrating, to be very blunt about that. But it's a good board because it does a lot of good things. I'm trying to find my agenda for Wednesday, but see, Annette sends out a lot of stuff.
So do you have a term?
Yeah.
Or is
When
it
does that start?
until you
Your
die?
term will be, term will begin 10/16 of 24 and end 4/30 of 27.
So they're gonna be having a virtual infant and early childhood mental health summit, that everybody will zoom into and try to figure out how to it's hard, I think, for us that know how to take care of children, that some of these families really need help in how to raise healthy, mentally and physically strong children, what it takes to keep that all together. So this organization really works hard to make sure that they're getting in these homes, to make sure that kids are being treated properly, and that there's the money to have, during COVID, this was one of
Single
those.
parent homes are probably the biggest challenge, I suppose.
Yep, and during COVID, then it made it okay to not let people into your house. And remember, they weren't having as many eyes on kids back then.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
somehow we thought that was okay. And if you remember correctly, there was a particular provider that hadn't done any reports or done anything that was kind of under. So it's an organization that really needs to have some oversight to make sure that truly you're doing your job and getting in these houses and making sure there's food in the refrigerator, not a stack of dirty diapers in the corner, not a bunch of.
I do remember before that though, the state had us, what they called the ACEs study, come in and basically do a deep dive of the programs and where the funding was going. And they came back, I'm not sure how they compiled all this data or came up with this conclusion, but when they say the recidivism rate for kids to get in trouble was way low. Recidivism rate, they kept using that word about parents having to go to ERs or troubled children in schools. These programs directly helped lower all those. Because if you have a safe home, nutrition, teeth don't hurt because you can get taken care of.
Teeth are
Your
great.
eyes are fixed so you can see,
See the
see
board.
things in school.
Yeah,
You know, they're all little things, but they really added up to, yes, there's money being spent up front, but it was, the study showed that it was saving us on the back
you know, in
end.
a single parent home, you don't always think about, you think, everybody thinks, well, the moms or the dads are not around to discipline them, but like you just said, the teeth, glasses, those are things that are really gonna mess you up in school.
They really are.
And, you know, and then, how do kids typically hide that they're behind in school? They act out.
Yep.
I don't care about this. Well, they
Yeah.
probably do care, or at least did, until people quit caring about them.
And it's something as simple as how I just can't see the board, so I can't, I'm not engaged to what's going on because
Yeah.
I'm not seeing what's going
Yep.
on, or
Excellent.
or a
point.
toothache that needs to be treated that I can't pay attention because all I can think about is my tooth hurting.
So the next Albert Einstein could be slipping through the cracks. Yeah.
Well, and, you know, mothering and parenting, I should say, is a learned, you know, you kind of, and
Yeah,
if you
great.
were abused and told to shut up every minute as a child, that's all you know. And so really try to get some education. I go to the Iowa, they have a meeting down at the ISU Center, and a bunch of the providers come in and kind of talk about the challenges that they have out there and the things that they see these days.
Good.
That,
That's a good board to me.
It is a good board. It has a lot of moving parts.
Different levels.
Suffocation hazards, they talk about the recalls on different toys. It's just a awareness to children, it's the, CCPC, Communities,
Community
Coalition,
Partners Program, CPPC.
CPCC. They use that a lot. I mean, they,
Yeah, that's kind of one under there.
yeah.
Well, if I remember, it was decategorization tied to that with
Yes,
leftover funds.
absolutely. There's not
That's small.
leftover funds
Right,
anymore.
there's-
Yeah. It was, so yeah, well, congratulations.
So, yeah, I'll see what
Yeah.
that entails, and like I said, I don't think it's at least quarterly meetings or.
I'm not sure if, you can figure out a way to bring more money in would be where you'd be very successful if you can figure that out, so,
We'll find out, there might not be much to draw from.
yeah, no. there isn't, Unfortunately.
The other thing I talked to Mike Anderson, Carroll County Supervisor, yesterday. They have their meetings on Monday. They'd like to sit down and do our fall meeting. Or actually, they wanna just do a phone conference call Thursday at noon. Jean has Rotary, so she will not be able to go, so Craig was willing to step in, and Craig and I will jump on a phone conference call with Mike Anderson. I'm not sure who the other supervisor they'll have, and then Carrie Kersey to kind of go over those numbers that we talked about.
Mhm.
Mike really didn't think there was a lot that would change this year because some of those increases in perk tests and septic system costs didn't take effect till July 1st. I remember right,
Oh, I don't remember.
They were-
Sorry.
because we're partway through the year. So they're still the same cost, so to really see them for a full year, we need to have another year. But he didn't think it was necessary at this time to have everybody sit down together in the same room, just let's go over the numbers on either Zoom or phone conference that they are gonna line up. So when Craig and I get those details, we can share that with you next week. We've also, Craig and I have an IT meeting tomorrow with Terry
Hopefully I'm there.
at 1:30. I'm going to zoom into that one. And then I also had, and he'll be on the agenda a little bit later, but Jimmy Reiser called me about the reclassification of the road that we have on the agenda today. And he's not against it, he's just, he'd like to change where it's classified from. I'll let him explain that when he gets into it.
You mean the start and finish point?
Yeah.
See up around out there?
Yeah.
Farms on the north side of the road, I think. He probably wants it at the top of the hill coming in from the east, huh?
He was trying to explain it. I was on my headset driving down the road. He said, I'm gonna be in tomorrow anyways and show you guys what
Oh,
I,
he's coming here.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
That's what he said. He's gonna be here,
There's two public hearings.
for the public hearing.
Yep.
And, but he just wanted to kind of maybe see if we entertain the idea of,
I think it's a Jim. I think Mr. Muff was saying that day we want to look at the fence that he farmed out on the north side of the road.
did you say that?
Yeah.
Guess I heard that.
I think he wants to come down farther because. So you
We're
don't have.
gonna do it for him
and stuff.
to the west, or.
Yeah.
Which
Well, maybe
way
that's-
that
Yeah,
access?
see what he, but. I said, yeah, come in.
As long as everybody's happy.
Right.
Right. I said, come in at 10, explain what you got going on and.
All right,
That's about all I got for you.
how would you got?
What do I have? Oh, not a whole lot. Quiet week at Ames, honestly. Had some water reserve meeting yesterday, but it was talking about, low dams and, water needs. So we talk more about the low dams and stuff like that, but I found it interesting, this last spring, the rains, the substantial rains that we actually got brought the well average up about 5 feet. But it's already 2 feet of that gone again already. So, I mean, it just, that to me, told volumes if we went through a completely dry winter. I don't know if we're gonna or not, but if we went through a very dry winter. Now granted, people won't be watering yards or anything like that. But, I mean, heck, we could be back to where we were. You see what I'm getting at? On the well.
Quickly
tables,
things
it's pretty
change.
quick, yeah, I mean,
Snowfall doesn't usually amount to much.
well, the problem
Surface
is
moisture.
You gotta get a lot.
that melts away and usually it goes down the river the winter. I mean, unless it's in a pond or, holdbacks, that water usually leaves right away. So, I mean, then low head dams, what they do is hold back. And Paul didn't seem to know a lot about what they've been working on, which kind of troubled me a little bit because, he helped bring in or helped design the flood system here in Denison. So if you'd hold back some water, how much effect would that have on that and high water time or anything like that? And what it affected, I don't know. I mean, that's some questions that weren't able to be answered, at least in that meeting. But, so I mean, we talked about that stuff, just looking for cost-effective ways initially to protect our water supplies, but, I'm still kind of a large advocate for the dam because that would fill us millions of gallons of reserve, and,
Tires, rural water or DMU in on those conversations.
yep, both of them.
Yep.
Yep, both of them. Yeah, it's a full court press on what do we do, and obviously there's always the cost of what's gonna cost if we do something. And I mean, I'm trying to educate myself because when I sit in a room like that, that's where all the wisdom is. And I try to learn from it. I think that way when I go out to the legislative conference for NACO and stuff, if I want to go press on DNR or Army Corps of Engineers, and find out funds and stuff they got to help us keep our costs down. Plus, when it's for flood prevention too, I mean, so that the dam would be multiple, it'd serve multiple purposes, county itself, so I mean, to me, that's a plus that needs to happen in my mind. But we just need to make sure it happens as economical as possible, right?
How did some of the regional dams get put in place, like up at Yankton and?
For that very reason, the Missouri would flood the whole bottom pretty regular in the spring, so they're supposed to, and remember the last one we had was real bad, they said they didn't dump as many cubic feet of water, however the hell, I don't remember how it was described, but one of the guys that used to drive for me actually helped build a lot of the levees and stuff, and he understands that stuff pretty good, and he was talking about it. They didn't let enough of it off. And then when the melting happened, it happened real fast and it come gushing down into that reservoir. They had to let it go because if they tried to hold it back, it was gonna basically do what, did anybody ever see the videos of that where eat that dam and stuff up there by Mankato, where it went around it and just, I mean, it ate the dirt away so fast it scared you. Then that dam's basically a little island out there, it gets knocked down the way it goes, So I mean, that could have happened up there in Yankton, and then there would have really been a mess, so I mean, those are the type of reasons them things got put in place. That's all Army Corps of Engineers stuff on both the big rivers. Missouri, actually Ohio, anywhere you find lock systems, that's all Army Corps. That's there. And obviously they've got a lot better over the years at understanding how the water supply or how the water system works. And I mean, I've learned a lot less to like Paul and Rory's crew and with Luke, very smart. He's kind of the guy that looks after the water system, very sharp guy. And I'm just starting to learn the people from rural water, but then we're down there in your neck of the woods and that outfit. So, but they're all participating because, I mean, like Charter Oak's fed by rural water and I'm sure we got other communities. I don't know who's all fed by them, to be honest with you.
Down City's got a valve to be fed by them.
Yeah.
Plus they're on it.
Yeah. So I mean,
Serve a pretty good sized area.
yeah, they do, very, and they're working on other wells and stuff pretty much constantly.
It's all they do, they're all tied together.
Yeah,
So
so I mean, there's things that we need to do. We don't have as much water purification for surface water in our area. Most of our stuff is pulled from the groundwater. We are learning from down there by Creston. They've actually got two great big reservoirs down there. That's what feeds 90, I don't know if it's the percentage, shouldn't throw out a number. But a large percentage of their water supply is from them reservoirs, so they've got the surface, the surface water filtration systems to purify the water for consumption, animal and livestock.
I have a question. The city of Denison employs a flood control, employee.
Mhm.
Is he involved in all of this or is that something completely different? I've always been curious what that employee, I understand the state of Iowa says they have to have it, but it just seems like that should be more of a county rather than just in the city of Denison. Or is a part of any of that?
No, he's not been part of our,
Okay,
no,
would make sense.
I mean,
anyway, wouldn't it?
I would say it wouldn't make sense. I mean, I don't know what he'd contribute to that at this point. I mean, he watches your levee system here in town.
Just, okay,
So I mean,
40 hours a week?
well, I suppose, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many hours a week he puts into it, but I suspect some weeks he might have more to do. I don't know. I don't really, I mean, he's there to maintain what's already here.
Okay,
I don't know what his background is,
I
like
just-
Paul's an
I don't-
engineer, so Paul, and a lot of that was his education, so I mean, that's why Paul's into most of this stuff when we're doing things.
so
'cause-
Paul's at that meeting then?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's been at all.
Would make sense that he would be involved in that's a huge part of Crawford County, that levee system here in Denison, Iowa.
I don't know his technical expert. I mean, I don't know what they have him do, so I don't know. I mean, I got invited to be part of this because they knew that's something that I'd talked about in years prior. That was one of the reasons I wanted to be on EMA is the emergency management aspect, I mean, those different things are important to me, is being prepared for worst case scenarios, And water supplies, we talk about it constantly, how water's, after oxygen, you can only live so long without water. You gotta have it. So I mean, those are the
Yeah.
things, and then if we're gonna develop this area, we've gotta be proactive and have all them resources that look like there's an infinite supply. Let's put quotes around that. I don't know if there's infinite
That's a
anything.
good point, I mean, like the Phoenix and Las Vegas that have sprung up out of the desert.
Yeah.
And they couldn't have done it without a guaranteed water supply.
Look how much water Vegas you can.
And there's some of the industries that I've been talking about, which I'll not mention, but some of our large, I don't know if they'd be constant consumers, but they'll use a lot of water and they'll be able to recycle some of their own, but probably still need to draw water. And, so I mean, we wanna make sure that we'll have adequate supply. So these are the things that I'm looking at from the economics perspective, as far as developing our area. Cause then if you're wanting to bring in more people, we're always talking about the plants that we have now need more people. Well, so that's more water drinkers, I mean, Manning's growing. I mean, rural water feeds all these areas that we hope to keep growing this part of the world, I mean, So I mean, these are things to me we have to constantly think about, and that's gotta be on our agenda, so. But anyway, we did, those are the things we discussed yesterday.
Very good.
And, I'm trying to think what else I was gonna bring up. I do have to see, get Central Iowa Juvenile Detention into this week. That's been, other than internal operations, you know, you brought up earlier that, they're into the financial and all the other stuff that they're doing now. They got a lot of different things, you know, they do drug testing across the state and all kinds of different things. They got people on hand for all that. So other than just, managing all that stuff, our meetings are full when we have meetings over there. And then there can be some testy discussion on some things, you know. Bob Thode, Webster County, old Bob, he's an old cop, I should say. He really keeps an eye on everything. He's, you know, he watches all the detail. I really like listening to him. But so he's always, I mean, you're not gonna get anything by him, let's put it that way. And then, so he's always comes in with a question, and usually they get answered. You know, sometimes it takes more than one meeting, but you know, I mean, he's really good at keeping an eye on things, so I'm sure he'll always have something at a meeting, but, it's a good crew there. Oh, hey, here's something I wanted to bring up, and in particular, since you're on the board. Couple of our meetings that we've had, NACO stuff, rural counties are dreadfully underrepresented across the country. And I suspect it's for obvious reasons. It costs a little more to send us to these meetings, you know, I mean, it was a big concern of mine when we started going. But what happens then is because we're so underrepresented, I mean, we really could control NACO, rural counties. Because there's more rural counties than there are urban counties. You know, and if you're just getting a vote for your county, because usually when I vote for something like the president or the vice president, or vice presidents, they just evolve into the president. But when you vote for them, it's one county, one vote, you know? And, so we could have a lot of say there, but because very few rural counties send people to NACO. And I think that's also, and what troubles me then is our voice is minimal. So, and while we probably share some issues with the large urban caucus or the large urban counties, we have a lot of unique things that are to us. And they're more worried about the massive amounts of people and dealing with that, where we might be worried more about the farm bill. So there's more emphasis on what they want most of the time versus what we need. I shouldn't say what they need versus what we need. And, I think that that's an emphasis that needs to be stressed. Why is it important to be part of that? It's because getting our voice heard. I mean, and I don't care, this ain't a blue-red issue. This is a rural versus urban issue. And if we don't wanna, I mean, we really had a great guy that ran for second vice from Montana this year. He didn't really stand a chance. I mean, they were both good candidates. It wasn't even close in the election, and it should have been. It should have been really close, actually.
So they each have to stand up and tell their reason for why.
Yeah, they actually campaign the whole time you're at like the
Really?
legislative conference, they'll already start campaigning, and then
Wow.
through the annual conference, they've got booths set up, they're giving
Where's our-
donuts away.
where's our vice chair?
In the morning.
Who got it?
Sure you wanna ask me that. He's from Georgia, super nice guy, really sharp fellow. Always dresses spiffy too. Gosh dang it, I can't think of his name.
But
We could look it up, but
Ty, we've talked about that, and it really does come down to our rural areas, we are more conservative. And a lot of them say, spend that money to do that.
that's the
Do we
problem.
really need to
'Cause
do
it's a
that?
lot of money.
It is a lot.
It is, and
But yet, are we missing out on some opportunity?
Well, here's where I'm gonna go with
What
it.
you got?
they are.
Here's where I'm gonna go with it. There's some of the things that are affecting us on the farm bill, all right? And I said, I was talking to Owen, that's our legislative, you know, the staffer. And that's for the ag committee. And I was talking to him about these things. He said, well, Ty, he says, you really know some of them other ones, you know, National Pork and with them. He said, they got a lot more voice than we do. Well, they shouldn't have it. We're speaking for every county in America. They shouldn't have a lot more voice, but they do because they're bringing the rural voice, you know, and basically, I mean, it's just looking like the Farm Bill, all right? What would the urban counties really want to focus on? They'd want to focus on the SNAP stuff. That's where their mind would go right away, because that's what's gonna help their constituents the most. So then all of our legislative priorities tend to lean that way on Farm Bill, as opposed to the things that we'd be more concerned about with the farm stuff. So I mean, that's why I'm bringing that up to you in particular, because you're on our board down there, but it's something for us all to recognize when you're talking to the other supervisors out there. You know, I mean, we've got, you know, little short, Richard's on, he goes all the time and he's very vocal and obviously,
Barry Anderson.
Barry does a great job for Iowa, period. I mean, he's a good man, period. But, I mean, we've got some good people going, you know, which one is it? Carl.
Carl
Oh, yeah.
Vanderweerd.
Anyway, he does a great job speaking up, you know, I mean, so there's a good group of us there, but we aren't very many votes. We're vocal. I mean, we're even convincing, you know, but, we really don't have a lot of votes when it comes vote time, you know. And so Iowa, I mean, we show up with 20 people. You got 99 counties, for God's sake. You know, I mean, so that's something that,
So who's ruling it?
what's that?
What, is there a particular state that rules it, if you know what I'm saying, if Iowa,
Oh, you know, Minnesota really has a ton.
Minnesota?
Minnesota's got a lot of people there. Illinois has got a lot of people. The last two chairs actually came from, now the chair the president this year, California. California's got a lot of people
I
there.
bet,
Florida's got a lot of people.
I bet.
Georgia's got a ton of people there. You know, I mean, obviously your big population states that got a bigger tax base. You know, I mean, we are asking, but if you send people up there that have their priorities right, you know, that are looking after what we need to look after, we gotta find a better way to get more representation up there. I mean, we don't have to have 99 counties represented.
Be nice.
Oh, it'd be lovely. I mean, yeah, I would love to see Iowa
Wouldn't that
be able to run a second vice up there, but we're a little too,
Yeah.
rural for, I mean, and I've told this story, the young lady, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she's from down there just north of the Miami area, and she's she's on the Rural Action Caucus. And so I'm thinking, you know, there's a lot of cow country up there around Okeechobee and like south of Orlando and stuff like that. There's a lot of cattle country there. So I'm thinking that's where she's at. So I said, well, so I'm thinking she's probably, you know, it's Florida. She's probably got, you know, we got 16,500. So she's probably 30 or 50, you know. She's 200,000 people in her district. And she's rural. Lady, that don't qualify in Iowa. You know, but, I mean, but she does think about rural issues because she's got a lot of farming in her. It's a bigger county,
That's
obviously.
big, yeah.
But, she also, because of the urban aspect, will lean more with the urban caucuses on a lot of issues. So it's just something to think about. That's something I've been wanting to bring up for a few weeks.
All right, very good. I probably should try to get, Kyle, got anything here real quick? Trey? Get before.
Sorry. I don't think it took too long.
Start out, I guess, on a personal note, Ty mentioned it, but tomorrow is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
And, usually for my birthday, we recognize our birthdays in our church.
Okay.
And, I forgot it was my birthday, but usually I wear pink, in honor of my mother, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay.
So I decided to do that today,
Nice.
and it's kind of what do you want to say? It's gonna be a weird anniversary this year. This year will mark this Christmas the 41st year that my mother has been gone, and she was 41 when she passed away.
Oh, my.
So we've seen her whole life kind of go by while I've been alive.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
So,
what-
but anyway, that's just a personal note. Just wanted to, and, cause Wrangler did a Tough Enough to Wear Pink campaign and then with the
Oh.
National Finals Rodeo in 2005 is when this started, and that's how I got this Wrangler
nice.
picture. But, couple of things I wanted to touch on. I did have Wesco and West Central Community Action meetings within the last week. Not much going on with West Central Community Action. Their new fiscal year starts September 1, so just basically doing a lot of, you know, budgeting and planning for the upcoming, a year. On Wesco's, we had a meeting last night, but they are up to 189 individuals served, which is an all-time record for them. They started out the year very profitable so far. I didn't know if you were aware, but we are going through the process of hiring a new CFO. And, we got 22 applications. They got 12 from LinkedIn and 10 from Indeed. They got resumes from Texas, Florida, Minnesota, California, Illinois, all people that wanted to do it remotely,
Really?
that did not,
They don't wanna move here?
they did not want to move here. They did get two very good local candidates that, I'm on the interview committee, and we interview those two candidates, 4 o'clock next Monday. So hopefully one of those two will,
So who is your current CFO?
it was Donna Shirkey.
She retired then?
She's no longer working there.
Okay, all right. All right. So
So
what kind of pay do they have? Just curious.
we are, Donna was at 117. And the two people that have applied, one is at 115 at a current position, another one is at 170 at a current position. And so we'll see, I guess, which one comes out. Which
Yeah.
one we like the best. The one that's at the 170 is looking to move down, actually. Just the stress, I guess, at their current position. They're like, I'd like to
Yeah,
get away
yeah,
from
yeah.
that. So I'm willing to take less pay.
So they're in like a bigger county or bigger
A bigger organization.
organization,
Yeah,
so
with more responsibility.
probably somewhere it's a lot higher cost, cause that's always something you gotta take into account. You're coming to an area that's a lot more economical to live too.
These
are local people, right?
What's that?
These are two local
Two local candidates, right?
Also, they're local.
They're both local,
Like,
within 40 miles.
oh,
Yeah. So would you
So-
require they move to Crawford County or?
They are,
that's
Yeah,
not.
I think-
that person.
They are?
one's awful close, the other one is.
Okay, all right. I'll propose probably works.
And I don't think we require it, because Wesco actually does things out, you know, they service people more than just Crawford County.
And the offices are all based in Harlan.
What's
The
that?
offices are in Harlan.
Offices are here.
Oh, West Coast.
West- I'm sorry. Yes.
West Coast.
Yeah, well, so-
You're thinking
I'm-
West
I'm-
Central.
Well, I think West Central. I heard
Oh,
West Central.
community action, right. Their
West
office
Coast.
is in Harlan. Yes.
Okay. Hard to keep up.
And I just wanted to share, I guess, input from the public about, this is getting back to West Central Community Action and their LIHEAP program, their low income heating assistance program, trying to get all these acronyms figured out. But this was someone who came in and applied, and she wrote a letter to, Wendy, who is the head of executive director of West Central Community Action. And I will then also back up and say Wendy made an announcement at our meeting that over the next 8 weeks, she's gonna try to meet with all of the board of supervisors with all 10 of the counties. So I think she zoomed in last year. I'm sure she'll zoom in this year at some point in the next 2 months. But, this letter just says, hey, I wanted to take a few minutes and tell you how happy and appreciative I was with the service I received when applying for heating assistance this year. Amy Johnston was the gal who helped me with everything before and during the appointment. She was truly caring and compassionate on my needs. She talked me through everything and made sure I understood what was going on, especially with the new changes and system happening this year. She was very patient and knowledgeable with what I needed. I truly appreciated her friendliness and patience throughout the process. I also appreciated her directing me to other resources I was needing for rental assistance. Thanks so much, Amy. And so it's just nice, I think, when you hear people that have, communication with the government agency, you like to hear that it was friendly and that it was helpful and they got what they wanted. And I think that's something we all strive to do when we have, our constituents contact us, say, hey, you know, we want to be there to help. And
That's
so
nice.
it's
Yeah.
nice when they do.
Thanks.
That's all I got.
Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Kyle, you got anything? You got exactly 48 seconds.
48 seconds. We got center meeting in Cherokee on Friday. And then I don't know if you've seen your email about Tim Zink, Charter Oak Tower site. wanted us to check that gateway out.
Oh, you know, we were gonna, before,
I did drive there this
You
morning
got
and look
sick,
at it,
we
and
were-
it is kind of I can see where it'd be, if you're not a farm kid, maybe difficult to, and it's a big wire gate.
now Doral said they'd help. We were gonna actually put in big swing gates
Okay,
and build up the posts and have a nice swing gate driveway. And they said they'd participate, and then that's when Greg got it, his
okay,
issue.
so we just need to continue down that path, because that was gonna be my suggestion.
Yep.
To go like the tower site by the cemetery over there, that's got two red gates that swing and.
Yep.
And do it like that, so.
That's what. Yeah, and Ralph
They were
called and
fine
told
with
me
it.
that he was putting the fence up, but I thought, well, you know, we don't have the gates yet, so
Okay.
so I think that's where we just need to get back on track with that. Cause the Doral said they'd work with us on doing it. Cause they wanna make sure we got something that they can, they wanted a big double swinger so they get the tractors.
Yep.
Yep.
That's all in the budget already.
Probably not. I don't know. I mean,
Just a normal question I would
I'm just
ask.
gonna throw probably not out because it might be, but I don't know.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Any, we need it, so.
I mean, it is something that, was part of the tower system and Doral said they'd work with us there, so I'm sure they'll, I mean, we can get a hold of Ralph and I can't remember what we exactly talked about. It was getting close to a year ago.
Probably a couple 20-foot gates.
That window opened up some of that fresh
I
fall
know,
air
isn't it fabulous?
It's,
You can have the time afterwards.
I thought.
All right, very good. Your timing is perfect then. We've just finished up our supervisors updates.
good. Boy. How was everyone this morning?
How can you be bad on a day like today?
Well, a few things that could ruin a day, but it's a
Okay.
beautiful day.
All right.
Dixon Construction up there, they're, got most of the backfill in. Should start on the pavement either this week yet or early next week. So it's coming along. We're getting closer. Great crew there up on F Avenue, and we're not doing anything on the road. We're just taking the banks down. And if you're familiar with that area, there are these little abrupt little, humps where they just cut the road through. And so that's where we have some snow trap problems. And it's a gravel road, pretty busy one too. So we're trying to stay off the road, especially this time of the year and harvest. And then going into winter, you hate to have a new grade that somebody's gonna have to deal with in spring. So we're trying to stay off of the gravels for that reason. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. We were able to actually get all the utility issues resolved, utility conflicts. We had 2 fibers, actually 3 fibers in a telephone cable in our road that we had to, work around. They actually did bore them, so we were fortunate to see that they had done what they were supposed to do. But there's just a lot of utilities in our roads right now in a lot of places, so. Yeah, so that's going well. When they get done there, they're gonna move just north of town, well, north here between here and Deloitte, by Vince Houlihan's. There's that dirt road that kinda winds through there. Yeah, west of Vince's, so we're gonna start on that, and that might finish the year out, don't know. We'll see what the weather brings, but we got other places we can go to after that, so that's where they're
I'd
at.
like to say if it's muddy.
I would like to see us get rained out. I mean, it's dry, so, and then the bridge crew, they're down on 340th, they're working on that bridge, and they get done with that one, there's a pipe over by Buck Grove that we'll go work on, so. Just, we'll just keep on going as long as the weather allows, so. Roadside, seeding spring shut down, they're still mowing, we mow all the roadsides. The only project that we'll seed is that box culvert on E16. We'll do a late season seeding on that once that's done. So we will go back up and take care of that.
I even had a kind of a fear last week about them calling you and shutting the mowers off as dry and.
Yeah.
as one of my sparks would-
Spark with a hit and rock, that's not a bad idea, I guess.
For what we could lose and what
Yeah,
we're gaining by doing it.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's dry. We are pulling the blades back in just because, you know, I talked to him yesterday morning, the foreman, you know, as harvest starts to wind down, I think a number of people are starting to get done. There's always gonna be a few out here for another week or two, but, you know, all we're doing is blading powder and dry rock from one side of the road to the other. I mean, it's just wearing out blades, burning up diesel fuel, and go work on some level B roads where we can maybe do some good with the blades, cut brush, and do a minimal blading wherever, you know,
Really bad.
you get a washboard that's really bad, but otherwise that.
Seems like a matter of a few hours, that washboard shows back up. Like you said,
It kind of does, but if you're not out there doing something, you know, especially, you know, you got the guy that's got a whole 50 semi loads of grain through that because he's harvesting that field, you know, he appreciates having it bladed up. You know, when we get a call like that every once in a while, that's kind of what we're gonna focus on here moving forward until we get some rain. And then when we do get rain, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be sloppy, dusty, you know, all that dust is gonna, when we get enough rain to actually do any good, it's gonna be,
Last night was not enough.
probably kind of a sloppy mess for a while. It
Yeah,
will be.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's what we're dealing with, so. A little bit of rain last night helped. It really freshened things up, just cleared the air too. I mean, the air is so full of dust
Yeah.
right now, and
It's nice to listen to.
so, yeah, so that was nice.
that was just a thought of mine, like.
Yeah, I mean, we could pull those guys in. I mean, we did
Like
get a
you said
little rain
last
now,
week, I mean,
so,
one snowfall and the wings have got it all off in the ditch and everything,
Mhm.
so.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
worth a full out field fire on, I mean,
Wow.
Panama area got pretty lucky there last Thursday, whatever, they only lost 400 acres and
yeah,
the neighbor kid was down there watching, he said it was jumping like 100 feet every second, that fire was,
Oh, brother,
yeah, if it's windy,
hard to stay ahead of that.
it's not good.
you know.
Yeah, I'll kind of see where the guys are at and what they got done, kind of think that over.
I said Eli was down there with their one fire department and they had 30 some tractors with discs.
They
And
said
half
just
an hour.
400 acres in a half hour, try to get in front of that.
Was it standing corn? Hopefully not.
Crew, some of it was
Some.
standing for
Yeah, but you got it's damaged, it's, you know, you gotta, if you don't stop it, there'll be thousands.
Right,
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
not a bad idea.
yeah,
that's kind of that day I thought, worth it mowing along the road for,
yeah, yeah.
if we don't get any snow.
Won't make any difference anyhow. So, yeah, let me check and see where the guys are at. And just pull them in. So. I don't see a lot of guys doing much of anything other than once the harvest is done. I mean, can't fly any hiders, it's too dry.
So
Disking is ground is so hard, you can't do anything. I mean, it's just, we need rain late. So, yeah, so, yeah, there you go. Items 4 and 5, I'll just kind of wait to go over those, till we have the public hearings here. And then, item 6 is this pledge. This is some of that stuff that just kind of frustrates me when you're dealing with federal projects. We have to do a pledge.
Allegiance to the flag, United.
It's like, I don't know. You feel like you're in kindergarten. To support the strategies outlined in Iowa's 5-year strategic highway plan, the overall vision of zero safety fatalities. And so this is kind of the boilerplate pledge that they gave to us. And so the one thing that kind of concerned me in here is Crawford County is committed to implementing the safety strategies outlined in the safety action plan, which we've been working on for a number of months now. And there'll be a meeting in February where somebody from the board, you were involved in that local road safety plan that we did, we had a meeting downstairs. And so that meeting will be in February, but so to create a safety action plan and which will assist road users with staying safe while driving, walking, and riding in Crawford County. So I put in the word contingent upon funding availability, because we're not gonna commit to something if you don't have the resources to do it. So I just plug that in there, and that's what we're gonna approve.
Okay,
So
all right.
if you're.
So they do it every 5 years then? As far as this pledge, would they
no.
ask for us to?
No, the state of Iowa, like we do a 5-year plan every year. You board, you know, you guys approve
Okay,
that.
gotcha,
And so they
gotcha.
do a
Gotcha.
5-year plan.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, it's to implement those. And I mean, we all want the roads to be safer. I don't think we should have to say a pledge that says that we want the roads to be safer.
Seems kind of,
And we've done a lot of things
You
here.
submit that to the state DOT then?
This will be part of our safety action plan, which is being funded with some of these federal dollars. You know, the state of Iowa got a grant to help assist with, you know, the preparation of these safety action plans. So the safety action plan then is intended to apply for safety grant money. And so
If you don't have that, you probably.
you don't have that, you're probably not
So
gonna
you
get any
don't,
money.
so you file this way until you apply for something
Right,
else, and you
right.
add that to your
Right,
application.
right. And then this will be, you know, let's say they come out and say you need to do improvements or enhancements to this curve. You know, that's one of the items identified as a priority in your safety action plan. And then when funds become available, then you have to apply for those funds. And if you don't have this pledge in there, then you don't have a valid
All right,
safety action plan. We won't have one till sometime next spring or summer. Because there'll be a workshop in February where we bring in highway patrol, sheriff, school, bring all them people in to kind of formalize and finalize it. So that's what this is.
all right.
Well, I would move to approve Crawford County pledge in support of strategies outlined in Iowa's 5-year strategic Iowa highway safety plan as presented by Paul.
You stamp it about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. All right, any further discussion? Otherwise, I'll call the roll. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion has been approved. Thank you, Paul. Sign
And
that.
this is just the final pay estimate.
Okay.
And this is how long it takes to process stuff on the bridge on L51 north of Charter Oak. So
Okay,
you just need to sign above that little yellow sticky
Right here?
there, so I don't forget about that. We owe them $1.
there you go.
I mean, that wasn't done intentionally, just to keep everything open.
Right.
But in order to get all the paperwork and everything documented and closed up.
All right, we have 3 minutes before,
I want to talk a little bit about cell phone replacement. You know, our foreman, they have county issued cell phone, and we work through Verizon. And so Sean's has been giving him fits for a long time. I want to get him a nice, a nicer one, but according to, and Michelle and the people that handle that here, there's the rules that have to be followed. But for him to get an Apple iPhone 14 and cost $29.99. And, I'm being told, well, the individual has to pay that. And I'm saying, no, I'm not gonna have the individual pay that. We'll pay that out of the department budget. That's what I want to do. I want to get him, as close to current phone as we can get. You can get the free Apple SE 5G, 3rd generation, but what we find is that those phones perhaps don't perform like we'd like to have some of them perform, and they're using weather apps and they use the phones every day. I mean, we're communicating all the time. So that's what I'm planning on doing. It's all right.
all right,
But we're gonna get him the Apple, and anybody that wants one, that the newer phone, and that's not the newest right now coming out is the iPhone 16. But for $30, I think we can get our guys something as close to current as possible under this plan.
And you talk just foreman or every.
Yeah, just the phone, well, this is just Sean right now.
Right.
Okay, and it's a one-time charge. Anyway,
all right, thank you.
just so you're aware of that.
I appreciate that.
I don't know if we've got enough
We
time to
have
go
2
into the
minutes.
agreement. Well, I'll go to the last item, 10 there, this beam exchange. As I move on, I'm trying to kind of make sure that these things get documented and carry on, but for the last 11 years, Don Dixon, who was the owner, has now moved on out of Dixon Construction, but they needed some smaller steel beams and we needed bigger steel beams. And so we decided that we would just do a swap. So we haul up steel beams to them that are the 15-inch tall beams that we take out of old beams. And then they in turn take out 24 and 27-inch and sometimes 30-inch beams off of state highway bridges. So we just swap pound for pound, and we've been doing that since 2013. And right now, as of the last load that was delivered yesterday, we're within 1,100 pounds of being even, and a total of 320,000 pounds of steel that, would have been scrap at 15 cents a pound. And if we had to buy those beams, it would have been 75 cents a pound, new steel prices. So about a $240,000 item over those years of, good steel beams that we can use in our bridges, and they get something. And so it's just basically a no cost exchange.
Makes sense.
So we've been doing that, just a little
That's
side
good,
note.
Paul.
Yes.
They got a nice trick or treat yard up there.
Well, you saw me rummage around in it one day, looking for good steel. Anyhow.
So did Dixon say, did they do that with any other county?
No. No.
Good job, thank
So-
you. All right, it is now officially 10 o'clock and we need to, go into public hearing.
I make a motion to open the public hearing in regard to the reclassification of the 180th Street North of Avenue B. Public
Second.
hearing.
All right, all in favor of going into public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution. We need to go into.
It's not a resolution, we're just opening the
Public hearing
hearing.
for.
This is the public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going in, wondering if there's any, oral objections? Any written objections? Anybody have any
Is there
objections?
something in here?
That was for the.
Is that for the next one?
The next one, yeah, and I'll talk about that.
I do.
All right,
This is the 180th one, Jim.
This is a different
we
one.
have two
yeah.
different ones.
signs.
Yeah.
Next one's at
This is the
10:05.
one regarding the 180th Street North of B Avenue.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
And that's going from a B to an A.
Yep.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
all right. All right, so any other discussion on that then? We need a motion to approve it,
Come on.
We got close.
Close. I'll make a motion to,
close.
close the public hearing.
Second?
All right, any further discussion? Otherwise, I'll call a vote. All in favor of going out of the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. All right, we're officially out of the public hearing, concerning that change. So we need a motion to approve the resolution 2024-33 related to the reclassification of a portion of 180th Street line North of Avenue B from, a level B area service road to a level area service road.
So moved?
All right,
Second.
all right, any further discussion?
I just wanna, add that that's a request on the part of Steve Struck, who purchased that hog confinement on top of the hill. And minimal grading in order to accomplish this. So it's pretty much just adding gravel to that 1,000 feet. So the previous access had been through the previous owner's field. And now it'll be via the road. So that's kind of what's going on there.
Something similar we've done in the past.
Yep. It's just so the public knows that's kind of what's going on here.
Need to know on all the details. All right, any other discussion?
None.
It is a resolution, so I will be doing roll call. Kyle?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Dave? Aye. Ty?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, resolution has passed. All right, we have 3 more minutes before our next public hearing.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back here and talk about the bail agreement. Might take a little while. The equipment repairs, I shared this with Kyle and Ty earlier this morning. We've just had a number of high dollar equipment repairs that really aren't associated. There are things that I feel we need some concessions on. So I'll be working through those, but, 2 of them on our newer back trucks, one's on the tractor where some repair work was done. And as a result, there was things that happened that probably definitive. We're looking at like 12,000 on the trucks, 10,000 on the tractor, like 7,000 on a excavator. We did get them to give us a concession on the excavator, about $7,000. So, but I'll be meeting with those people. We just had a rash of things here recently.
That's typical of farming, and they don't spread your breakdowns out.
Yeah. Yeah, and these, I think, were all either preventable or related to something. Or maybe they shouldn't have happened. So,
Huh,
so anyhow, that's just something that's going.
How much, what do you budget every year for repair?
Well, we're up to about 175,000 just in parts. And we blew way by that last year. We're gonna blow by that already this year. Just-
So if it's,
Yeah, and, we've got a fairly new fleet of equipment.
I know.
it's preventable to use,
Yeah,
sit down and put on, or talk to them, how,
yeah, oh, yeah. I don't wanna go into the details
Right,
here.
okay, all right, got it.
But that's how we got the 7,000 concession, Ziegler stuff. But yeah, it's just, you always
I
have
think
to
the
kind of
dump
be.
truck thing should end up.
Yeah, the 2 dump trucks, I mean, the ABS brake systems are not working properly in the 2 newest dump trucks, which are 2023 model years. And the brakes are not covered under the warranty, okay? But we feel this is a computer module that's causing the issue, and it's like $6,200 a piece on both of the new trucks.
Oh,
you know, so, you know, we're gonna see what we can do to get some concessions on that. So,
Oh,
you know, even if you have new equipment,
I know.
it's still, there are things that don't work the way they're supposed to.
Oh, unfortunately.
So,
It is now officially 10:05, so we have a public hearing that we need to open. Motion to go into public hearing.
Make a motion that we make it, go in public hearing.
Second.
All in favor of public hearing, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Chair votes
Yeah.
aye. In the public.
can I start with a comment first? Keith Brady, who is one of the property owners, had called yesterday. He had sent a letter in support of the proposed reclassification. But he's not in support of the position of the gates. He supports that we do something, but he wants the gates moved to a different location, which
Okay.
would be closer to the intersection or at the intersection. And so he wanted his letter withdrawn in terms of the position of the letter or the gates. He supports the gating of it, just at a different location.
Okay.
So.
Could you speak up? Or can I step closer?
Yeah,
Come on.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Jim,
So
come on up.
Keith Brady, he's the owner on the north side of the road, had called yesterday. He had submitted a letter in support of the proposal. But he called to say that he still supports putting the road, he just doesn't want the gates on top of the hill. He wants the gates at the intersection to the east. Okay, and our notice and the initial proposal was to put them about a quarter of a mile west of the intersection on top of that hill. And the reason it was done there is because of the driveways into you guys' fields, and, you know, the thought was that you may not
Why
want to have it
can't
open.
get to his field then?
Well, he could get to it, he just has to open the gates at the intersection. So the thought was it might be more convenient for the property owner and for the renters to not have to deal with the gate. You just pull up there and go into your field. The downside is, as Jim pointed out, and I'm sure he's here to point that out too, is that you now have a dead end dirt road where there are other things that can come into play too. Dead end dirt roads, you have undesirable things happening there. And so, as I told Jim, you know, this is how it was published, so we can't act on anything different. We have to kind of have the public hearing and go through this process. But they're you guys' roads, and if you guys want something different, I think the board's in agreement, we'll do whatever the people out there.
Hence why we have a public hearing.
That's why we have the public hearings, yeah, so,
Exactly.
so anyhow,
Start with-
Keith had called yesterday, he wanted his letter in the context it was written changed. He supports the gating of the road, he supports restricting access, he just doesn't support the position of the gates that we initially had thought, so.
That's why we-
My only concern is, when you put that gate in, that it's well enough to the west that, my tenant can get in to the field, and that there can be at least a grain cart parked along the road there without having me being gated just for convenience. And I surely would object to, gating that at the intersection.
Okay.
That's why we have the public hearings.
Exactly why we're having it.
So-
Thank you for coming. So is there a way to work around that then? Is that?
Well, I farmed the Brady farm for
Yeah.
40 years,
Okay,
Okay.
and I,
Is that the one to the north?
yes,
Okay.
and I would, he said he wants to be able to get a grain cart on the road. Well, if they put the gates at the east intersection and they open them up when they're harvesting, like 2 or 3 times a year, they can do whatever they want up on top of that road anywhere. But my concern is if you shut it there, as I told something the other day, I already got a TV out there, I got a couch there and a bed mattress in the field, and I don't think it'll be too long and I'll have the new, internet service out there, so I'll just move out there and live there. But if they close the road at the intersection there at the top of the hill, it's gonna funnel 100% of the bad traffic into
Into
the
your
hayfield,
gate.
into the hayfield on that side. So if they put the gates on the east end, down there at the bottom, when his tenant has to go and farm 2 or 3 times a year, you open the gates, you go up and do your deal, and you leave. I've done it on other Class C roads, same way.
Paul, will it be padlocked or just
They're padlocked, and then
Padlocked.
the tenants, the owners, you know, whoever the owner wants to have a key, he can have a key, and, you know, and,
Buffalo Road was that way out there, is that way out there.
yeah, there's a number of them out there, you know.
There's already track or dumping.
Oh, yeah, there's been dumping forever, and last fall when we were combine, they put trail cams up because they started hunting their own ground. And I think about 4 or 5 times during combine season, I got called wanting to know if I was out there driving around. I said, no, it's not me, I don't hunt, we're combine, I have no interest of who's out there driving. I have interest who's driving around, but, and it's a hayfield now, so they don't do, but they'll drive, if it's a cornfield, they'll drive right in the cornfield and do whatever they wanna do, and it's just open range.
I think, Jim Muff was the one that initially contacted our office about doing something different with the road, and his concerns were the similar concerns, that there's a lot of people out there that are on the road doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and, minimal use from a public standpoint, probably, and so the gating seemed like he was actually interested in vacating and closing the road, but there's a 40-acre parcel in there that would be an issue, and so I said, well, why don't we just gate it, and then everybody still has access, and so, but again, we're here to do what the people want, or try to find some compromise and find we have no problem gating it, we can't vacate and restrict access, we can vacate a portion of the road, we just gotta have access to that 40 acres until such time as that maybe changes hands, but so that's kind of where we're at.
My experience is that road is basically unpassable most years, on a normal rain year. It's a woolly old road.
There, like he said, it's really, there's only 3 people that really need the road. Other than that, there's nobody ever.
Seed that.
And other than that, nobody really needs to be on that road.
And then it's just a trail, basically, and
Well, I'm on that road probably 7 or 8 times a year, cause I go in and hunt. Now, if you put a gate up there where you are proposing, unless you're gonna.
Right past you guys' gates, so pretty much across.
That's the gate going into the field. I have no objection to that. I'll open up the gate and go down the hill and go into my timber.
Okay. Is that gonna work for everybody then?
And that's what the public hearing is,
Yeah, but where,
is
how do we?
gated at that area up there by them gate.
Jim would like it at the intersection. So nothing comes down.
Okay.
Top the hill, so you
Yeah,
don't
finish,
have to-
finish the drawing for us.
Yeah, Jim would prefer to see.
Jim and the Briggs both.
And the Briggs,
Okay.
yeah, would prefer to see it there, and this is what we're considering today, is right here, and then there's these driveways that take you in the field here, and so.
Jim Muff have any input on it? Did Jim Muff say anything about it?
I don't think.
Jim Muff doesn't, as long as it gets changed to a C road or whatever and it's closed on his end, he's happy.
And on his end, we stopped it, he's got a feedlot there on the west side. And there's a big area that you can turn around up there, and it's just east of his house, maybe 1,000 feet or so. He's happy with that. It would give them a place to turn around, and that's kind of why we picked this, is that there was access to the fields and a turnaround. But I know what Jim's saying.
If you don't have access, if you put it where we're kind of thinking, you're gonna do away with a lot of no good traffic that's not gonna know that they can't get through until it's too late. Till they're up into halfway up there.
Why, man, you're gonna put some signs saying that the road is closed to the top of the hill, so they don't drive halfway up the hill and then go, oh my gosh, I gotta turn around.
Yeah, we can put a dead end sign up, and then at the gates, we'll put level C, limited access. Yeah, it's.
I don't think the tenant this year loaded on that road. He wouldn't be able to because he couldn't get a semi up to turn around. I know he brought the corn down around to the other gate hole this year when he loaded. He did not, he couldn't load on that road because you can't get a semi on that road.
Here we are.
Ted, you don't like the idea of having your own key for it? At the intersection?
The way you have proposed it, the way you sent out your certified letter, as long as it's past what you have, said you wanted to do, then I have no objection to it. If you're going to sit down here and, change in the middle of the stream, then yeah, I do have an objection to that.
We can't do anything different than what's proposed today. If the decision is to not take action on that and to go to the intersection, then we can start the process over, and that's what I told Jim, I said, you know, the ship's kind of sailed on this first proposal.
Did the Brady's know about this? Did they get a certified
Oh,
letter?
yeah, and I talked to Keith, he called me and asked me about, you know, this was before I talked to you. And I explained to him why we did what we did and those types of, you know, things, and, you know, he was supportive of it. And as indicated by his letter. But, you know, after further consideration, he'd prefer to have it at the intersection, and again, we're just here to try to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have.
We went out and initially looked at it, I mean, it was
Yeah.
me and you and Jim Muff, and when we looked at it, I mean, it made sense, like Jim said, that way they both have access to their fields. They own everything else all the way to the east side, and so Jim kind of dictated where we wanted it on the east side. And on the west side, we were just looking at, from a general perspective, without asking anybody,
Yeah.
as to where would it make the most sense.
Yeah.
I see now, I mean, I think Jim brings up a very good point as to trying to reduce that ne'er-do-well type of people that would go up there. I can see his point, certainly.
And I don't hunt, and he says that's he hunts, but there's a lot of non-hunters that will go up in that way, and then they just go that way because you don't see their vehicle, and then they just go, it's a half section they own there, and you can go wherever you want, nobody will see you in there.
If you change that from a level B, that intersection going up the hill to a C, I says, I can't rent that farm because there'll be no maintenance on that road. Right now, you will do some maintenance on that road, it's a level B road. Otherwise, it's just gonna turn into a pasture and my farm will lose great amount of value to do that. I would have to get a consult here if we decide to do that. Cause I can't have the value of my farm going down anymore. So there.
Okay,
Thank you for that input. So what is the wishes of the board?
Well, I feel like we're probably at an impasse today. I mean, I'm not worried. Past experience, I think everybody's gotta be on board if we was supposed to move forward, so
That was my question, what's our,
I just,
what's,
we wanna make it equitable for everybody.
Well, based on the input, you've got differing opinions, and that's fine.
And that's fine.
You have to respect
Absolutely.
both of that,
Yep.
and they have differing opinions, so you really can't take any action.
There's a reason why we sent out the letters. There's a
That's
reason
right.
why we have a
Yes.
quorum
hearing.
of a public hearing, so everybody gets to have their wishes known. It appears we're at an impasse, so we should make a motion to go out of the public hearing, I believe,
Anybody else?
unless we have more.
does anybody else got anything to say?
I fail to see why you just can't pass it the way you have it now. I mean, down the hill or up the hill, it's not gonna affect anybody. If you put your signage, it's not gonna affect these other people.
If it's not gonna affect us, then just put them down at the bottom of the hill, and it won't affect you much. Other than open your gate 2 or 3 times. It affects each one of us about the same percentage in the end.
Typically, we like to have all landowners, tenants in agreement before we make a decision.
And if I go through the gate at the bottom of the hill, I'm gonna have to open and shut the gate too.
yeah, it seems to me what we've had to deal with since I've been on the board is we don't have everybody agreeing, we just stay with status quo.
Okay, we're not trying to change midstream. This is essentially to sift out different ideas and
Yeah.
opinions is truly why
Yeah.
we're having a public hearing.
Sometimes the first doesn't fit everybody's needs, so I think we need to do more research, more.
I do see Ken's point too, I mean,
I do
we
too.
could just close it up there with the original plan and see where that lands, you know?
Ideally, you get the landowners and the tenants all together. I mean, that's the best way to solve it, because everybody gets together and talks about it outside of here and comes to some consensus. Because again, I always tell people, the roads don't belong to us, we're just here to manage and take care of them. They're your roads.
Cause the other guy's probably not gonna be happy with the outcome either.
No, no.
Because the other guy that's not here.
That's not here.
Right.
You see, it's not really, it doesn't rest here necessarily, it rests with the people out there that own the land. That if they can get together on consensus and then come forward with a proposal, we're willing to do, I think the board is, to do what the people who use the roads. None of us use those roads, you guys do.
You should.
And so, yeah, I mean, and that's truly how we've always operated here, is that, you know, they belong to the people, and as long as they can come to some consensus. You know, we've had roadway vacations, somebody comes, we need to close that road, so you go get everybody on board, you come, and then we'll take action, we don't have any problem with that. Because it's the people out there that are using their support, so.
This is the key part of this. This is the resolution that would establish it. It says the county has received a petition attached to this resolution signed by all landowners.
Yeah.
Adjoining the road, requesting the following road be reclassified to a level C road. So until
Yeah.
we could get all landowners to sign that petition, we can't take any action regarding it.
Yeah.
So when there's a disagreement amongst the landowners, we're just.
We're at an impasse.
We're at an impasse, so we can't take any action.
Well, you talk about the landowners getting together outside here, you sent out certified letters at great expense. If the landowners had any objection or for or against, they would be here. This is your public hearing. This is the time for your landowners to object or yay or nay.
They have.
We got it.
The tenants here and the landowner, it's in a trust, they sent a letter.
And then he
Written in
called me
oral.
yesterday, he wanted to clarify that he preferred the position of the gates at 210th Street, so that's the Keith Brady, who's the landowner. And I think Jim is here on his behalf, representing him, so essentially what we have here is a differing of opinions on where it should go, and what should happen, and I mean, it's difficult for the board to take action, because they take action one way to make you happy, it'll make them unhappy, if they take that action, you'll be unhappy, you've already stated, you might invoke, you know, legal counseling, you have every right to do that, and I don't think there's any problem with differing opinions, there's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe what we should do is just put gates on Mustang and leave the rest of it all open, at least them Muff would be happy. To an extent.
Because they're not happy either, but, you know, I really don't know what the answer is.
That'd be the better resolution, because then they wouldn't be turning in line, but then they'd still be going into Musk drop down from coming from the
They
east.
come from the
Yes,
east,
yeah.
and then you'd have a mess down there, because then you get to there, and.
There would be a mess, there would be a mess, what do you mean a mess?
There's already. But I mean, it would be, because there'd be public, you know, they'd be upset because they get all their.
Or then something would happen in the winter, and then they'd be stranded out, and then nobody would know how to get to them.
All kinds of problems come to rise.
Yeah, I mean, what Kyle read is 100% accurate. It's based on even my small history on the board is that to change it from a level B to a level C, you need 100% of all the landowners against that road to sign off. And if they don't sign off, there's nothing we can do about it.
Can't-
And you gotta have a hearing, so people.
Right, we have to have the hearing to
Their
understand
opinion.
if that's what the landowners want or not. So.
So
It's working like it should.
exactly how it should. And I thank everybody for coming, letting us
And
know.
it's not the first time we've had
Nope,
something like this with difference of opinions.
it is not.
Are we on the close?
We gotta close the hearing, yeah, but if, unless anybody else got any more opinion.
All right, so we need,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Same sign. Chair votes aye. We are now officially out of our closed hearing. So as far as a motion, I think that, we will have to.
Thank you all.
Thank you for
Okay,
coming.
thanks for
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ted.
Help with the motion.
Yeah, no.
No action taken.
Well, basically, no action taken, or you just table it. Right. So,
All right. So we've already,
and that's why you have public hearings,
I agree. We,
so.
But I'm glad you brought that up because that just, that is black and white. All landowners have to be.
yeah, I'm glad I brought that up too, because I just remember reading when we changed the one from a level C back to a level B, and we saw the original documents that went into a level C
Yeah.
of all of the landowners that had to sign.
Yep.
And,
been there before and, just have to come to a compromise. All right.
Okay.
Alrighty, we have our equipment repair, we talked about the beam exchange, the cell phones, we're at the discussion of an agreement with the city of Vale.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming over
Yeah,
that
Paul,
meeting and,
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I really
Did a good
appreciate
job.
that, yep. Cause you knew more of the structure of what was going on and, we just knew about the dollars and cents.
Right,
Yeah.
so, we need to formalize what was decided through an agreement, so I've drafted an agreement. And I know there was some discussion about, you know, future maintenance of the structure, de-annexing, if you will, the portion of that property to the county, so then it's always the county's. Never been involved in an area where a city
Once you give up.
gives up part of their taxable, properties. It's not gonna amount to a whole lot of dollars, no matter what. I don't know if it's worth the effort for either party. You know, as we proposed to them through the board, you know, the bridge would be built, they would be billed 100,000, that would be it, no matter what it costs, that's what their bill would be. And then that would be payable in 6 installments, or annual installments. So that's what was agreed to. And that's what this agreement says. It doesn't speak anything to ownership of the bridge changing. It doesn't speak anything to future maintenance of the bridge, but it's gonna be an all steel bridge. I mean, unless somebody runs into it and destroys it somehow, I can't see this bridge being a problem for a long, long time. So,
And there were a lot of people
Be our
there in support
grandchildren's
of it.
problem, how's that?
yeah, I mean, it'll be there for 75 years.
Yeah.
There's no reason why it wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know if loads change. Today it'll carry a 96,000 pound semi.
I think it's
Seven
a
axle.
very good fit for
I think it's
what
great.
it needs are.
I do too. So this agreement's very, very similar.
One of our thoughts.
So what was the consensus, I guess, of the Vale City Council? Is this what they were in favor of doing most?
They voted to do it.
Yeah.
There was one councilman gone, one abstained, and then there were 3 votes in favor of it.
Okay.
And with
So,
the understanding that
yeah.
the gentleman that was gone had verbally
Yeah.
said he was in favor of it, so.
So essentially, here's what it, you know, they're all the whereas things, but then this is what you agree to. The county agrees to remove and dispose of the existing bridge structure and furnish all materials, equipment, and labor necessary to construct a 120-foot by 24-foot steel bridge. City agrees to reimburse the county in the amount of $100,000. Said reimbursement to be paid in 6 annual installments, first of which will be due upon completion of the work, with subsequent payments due every 12 months thereafter until the balance is paid. Pretty simple.
No interest?
No,
They
we
had
never
talked
got
about a
charged
5 and a
interest.
7, and I just kind
Yeah.
of thought, well,
Years.
let's just do
Yeah.
a 6-year,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of, you know.
So I'll get this to them if that's okay with
Yep.
you, but I wanted to make this clean, simple, so down the road, everybody knows that, hey, that's all we're doing is we're building the bridge, and we'll probably start on that when, you know, we're gonna finish the bridge over there, on 340th, go down to Buck Grove, take that bridge out, put that pipe in. And we're probably gonna go over and start working on this if we got the agreement in place, cause it'd be a great winter project. The road's closed anyhow. There was some discussion about trying to do it at the same time the other bridge on
There was.
M55 is closed. But that's a bad idea because we still gotta get all of our materials in there. We gotta get in and out of there. And so I just soon have this bridge done for no other reason before that.
Yeah,
And then they can do the bridge. I mean, it's not gonna help anybody's access,
Right.
but it'll help ours.
there we go.
So we can get our
Do what
materials
we
in and
can,
out
so.
and get it real, you know, so.
You'll
that'd
be
a
glad
good-
to get it
Keep
done.
ourselves.
a good winter project that we can, if the weather holds, we'll work on it throughout the winter.
I think everybody was very happy with this solution.
Yeah,
Well,
I believe, I mean, I don't know, it's where we ended up at, so I guess.
this was the solution that we had before you even brought that bridge home. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out.
All right. Point taken, very good.
Okay,
Say, Paul, before you leave, I wanted to just put you on the spot.
Oh, boy, here we go. Sit back.
But, this was in Farm Bureau spokesman last week, so I'm sure you're aware of it. It says Iowa has the highest percentage of rural bridges rated in poor or structurally deficient condition in the United States, according to a new report. 41% of Iowa's rural bridges are rated in poor or structurally deficient condition, well above the nationwide average of 8%. And so I know you touched on that with this board before, but I guess publicly I figured that people have read this. And maybe you could just speak on the condition of Crawford County bridges.
well, since I've been here, we've impacted 170, either replaced, eliminated, or, you know, they've been replaced with culverts or something. So our bridges are in really good shape. Okay, I think. We don't have a lot of people coming in complaining about a bridge.
We don't.
So, you know, that's the most, and if you look at historic bridge replacement, and I've shown you guys the bar graphs, in the last 20 years, we're way up here in terms of what we've done with bridges. So we've been very aggressive in attacking the bridges in our county, and I think we've done it pretty cost effectively. And the example is doing a beam exchange and buying a bridge that probably cost us 20% of what that steel would have cost us somewhere else. But, you know, and so, you know, we can't go in and build a concrete bridge everywhere, but we've certainly found a way to build bridges that are suitable and will carry the things that we need. So I think in Crawford County, I think we're in pretty good shape. I can't tell you exactly what our percentage of poor bridges. There's still some poor bridges out there. I mean, you know, we've got some of these truss bridges out there that are, you know, they're not the greatest bridge in the world, but they don't have a real high volume of traffic either on it.
Some of them, they don't even run out though. Some of the people like them.
Some of them, they want to keep them there, but yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of bridges in Crawford, or in the state of Iowa. The numbers in the 24,000 range, you know, something like that.
24,000?
Yeah, and I believe there's about 19 to 20,000 of those that are on the secondary road system, and the 4,000 scattered. I don't know the exact numbers, are on the state system and cities. And so there's just a lot of bridges out there. And, you know, so when you talk about condition, you know, poor condition, they went from what they call structurally deficient and functionally obsolete. They had this FO and SD, you know, and of course, in today's narrative, structurally deficient is not good. Okay, we have to call it something else. So they went to good, fair, poor. And so, you know, which in a way it's kind of good, because you could have, and I've used this analogy here before, you could have a brand new half-ton pickup, but it's considered structurally deficient because what you really needed was a 1-ton pickup to carry the load. That makes sense to you? So you could have a bridge out there that's conditionally very good. It just isn't heavy enough to carry the load.
Yep.
Okay, so good, fair, poor then kind of changed that to say, okay, it's truly based on condition now of the elements that are in the structure. What condition are the piling? What condition are those steel elements that are in that bridge or the concrete deck? Is it good, fair, or is it poor? It really doesn't reflect its capacity or its width or those types of things. It's just based on condition. So there's a lot of bridges that are in you know, in that category. Whereas the old system, you know, you might have had a bridge that carried a legal load, Dean Hunter's, for instance, okay, down to the Hunter Bridge, you know, they wanted that replaced forever. You know, abutments are great. I mean, there was nothing wrong. It carried a legal load, but it's only 16 feet wide. You know, functionally obsolete. So that fell into that category. And the result of this change from good, fair to poor, and it's kind of digressing a little bit, it hurt us because we had bridges that were in really good condition, okay, but didn't have quite the capacity, or they had narrowness or something. And so when they went to good, fair, poor, we lost some of our funding because of that. But
Because we had more good.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
right. We had good half-ton bridges, or half-ton pickups, if you will, you know, as an
What
analogy.
number of that 21% did the state of Iowa create when they started doing these special favors of legislation, like
Well,
special haul vehicles
So-
and stuff that created?
All of a sudden now they're out of capacity.
so that brings up a whole new, another discussion.
Don't bring it up.
Here's the real problem with what they've done by adding additional weight or allowing additional weight, is that they allowed it in all trucks. How many farmers do you see with a 7-axle dump truck haul grain?
I'm gonna use a 0.
There's nobody's doing that. They're hauling with a semi with 5 axles, 6, maybe 7, a lot of them, you know, or a lot of them with 5 axles.
Yeah.
The ag transport or traffic is not the problem on the bridges. It's the 7-axle dump truck that most contractors use that's the problem on the bridges. Because it's like setting a dozen elephants right in the bridge. Okay, I mean, it's just concentrating the load. And whereas the semis spread out, and so it's less impactful. So the The additional 12%, well, backing up a little bit, the special haul vehicle legislation that the two of you and I went to try to challenge was more impactful to our bridges in terms of stressing them than the 12% overload. Okay, because the 12% overload, it just aggravated that problem a little bit for those. But that's more impactful to our pavements in the spring of the year.
Paul, to me, though, the thing is, we didn't ask for it.
The ag community did not. This was driven entirely by the
People that'll fix the roads are tearing up.
construction industry, the people that were paying to fix them.
People fix it.
And so anyhow, but again, back to your point there about the bridges, I think in Crawford County, I think we're in pretty good shape, but there's still work to do. Don't get me wrong, there's still bridges out there that need work that are still posted. I mean, your goal is to get all posted bridges off your system. So there is no restrictions. And, we're still a ways from there. We still have a lot of truss bridges, but, we made a lot
Paul,
of
you told me
progress.
before that,
Come on.
with the 170 bridges that you have done in your career, we're over the hump of, you get to pick and choose now.
Hard to
So
find
than
ones
what
to
it-
replace.
Right, than what it was
Yeah.
in 2002.
When I first started, the first thing we did was we did a drainage area on every bridge, sped up a spreadsheet for condition rating, drainage area, surface type. And we just started picking them off. And there was no problem picking a half a dozen to 8 bridges every year to go build. Now it's hard. It's hard to find ones that make sense, that either the traffic volume or whatever it is that justifies it. There's still some out there that we're working on, but we've come a long ways towards getting those done. So.
Thank you, Paul.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
I feel
Nice
good about
report
bridges
today.
in Crawford
Thanks.
County.
You
Yeah,
See you, Paul.
yeah, good discussion. Thank you. All right, we are now at, the redundant internet connection.
Triple C.
Good for you.
What do you got?
Yes, sir. How are you folks doing?
We're doing
Good.
great.
How
How much is it gonna cost?
Yeah, Why?
Go ahead and
why do we need it?
pass that around. There's about 7 copies.
It's called too much. What might you do?
So what we're looking at is, a little bit of what I was talking about last week, when I was, proposing, this, redundant internet connection at, Community Services. Is that what it's called now? Sure. Okay.
Crawford County.
Okay, and what we're looking at is, a couple of different options that we can leverage, if you will. Now, I did all the math, for this. And we're looking at about 4 different options, and 2 are 36-month and 60 month. So, the first option, the top there, the 675 and the one-time install fee of 5,000 is, when it comes out at the end of 3 years, is about just a little bit higher than 29,000. And then the next 2 are at 32,000. And then the last option is at 33. Now, just keep in mind that I did adjust for 60 months on those last 2. So when it was all said and done, that was what the total cost was for that particular contract. Now, after the contract, that's subject to change, as far as whatever the market is at that time. But, ultimately, that's what we're looking at for right now. Those monthly fees do not start until we say, yes, okay, we want this, okay? Well, whether it's March 1st, May 1st, June 1st, whatever it is.
When we got people in the building.
Yeah, till we got people in the building. Just understand that those monthly differences are trying to offset that install fee a little bit there, okay? That's the reason why you're seeing a $500 option, but the monthly rate is higher, okay? Keep in mind that goes for the entire term of the contract there. So, and that covers all the nodes. I know we're looking at just that one, okay? That was the intent. But when I was talking when I was doing the math and talking to our sales rep, it didn't make sense that we've never paid specifically for public health. It's always been a lump sum for the entire county. Okay, secondary roads here and public health, okay? Cause right now we're paying just short of $500 for monthly for internet. That's $491. Okay,
Will that change then if you are doing public health separately and you're gonna?
well, we're not doing public health separately. It's still lumped
Still
in.
lumped together.
This price is gonna change that 491, okay, that we're paying now. Whatever we agree to here on this sheet is what it's going to be.
Oh, instead of 491.
Exactly. That was something I had to hammer out real quick. It didn't make sense. Why would we be paying, we've never paid additional for
Yeah.
public health. Okay, they've always been on the ring, so why would we be paying an additional $600 now versus what it was? So we're paying 491 now. The monthly that you're looking at there is what it's gonna change to.
What's our current contract that we've signed for?
We don't, it's a year to year.
Year to year.
Yeah,
So we're paying 491. We could actually drop to 450 if we signed a 5-year contract.
absolutely. And we got, you'll have to
Then you
pay
have
that five, yeah.
Well, why don't we pay 550 and just pay a one-time 500 and,
Well, over that
Over the
course of the 5
5 years,
years, it ended up being $1,000 more
Mhm.
Cheaper.
doing
Yep.
the 5,000 versus
Yep.
500.
Yeah, that last one is 33,500,
well, then the top one is.
29,300.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense to pay 29 over
30.
3 years versus 38.
Yeah.
2 over 5.
Yep.
Right,
So,
that's your best bang for your buck.
mhm.
Let's do the best thing for our buck.
So that first option at the top there?
Be saving $41.
No,
Oh,
no,
I
no.
Third
apologize.
one down.
No, it's 5-year, 450, 5,000.
Okay.
Oh, shit, we'd be saving.
They have to
Get it
take
figured
action.
out, you get it figured out there.
I'd be wrong in saying we'd be saving.
Yeah.
Well-
Is any of them gonna, they're all,
We'd be saving that.
the
much.
service is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the service is gonna increase to 200 as well. We're right now is at 100.
So
Right,
we'd
I
be
get
actually.
that.
So we have to add the
But
5,000.
the service
One time
from the
install.
provider,
Mhm.
I mean, as far as. what we're
That is
gonna get,
32,000.
Something
It comes up
broke,
to
wired broke, we're gonna get in there and fix
The
it,
third
it's
one.
all the same.
31.
So,
Or no, the third one down is
We go with the
13,000.
third
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
down.
that's what I wrote down.
End
That's with the
result.
5,000 included.
If we save $41 a month, we're at 29.5.
okay.
If we do the third one down, because we'd be going from 491 to 450, so.
Save.
Okay.
All right,
And I did, there was a little map there too, I did draw as far as where their presence is. The pink dot is where their presence is right now, that's where they would be coming from. And then I highlighted the yellow is the building in question, so.
okay, all
I need
right.
a motion for that.
Yep,
Yep.
we do need a motion.
I'll make a
Take
motion to
action.
approve the third one down for 60 months.
Second.
450. All right. We have a motion, a second, any further discussion? Call the vote, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. We have chosen the second option for 60.
We're gonna dig into when we start that.
Yeah, like when well, I mean, we will have internet there, it's not a question already from day one.
Redundant.
With what,
But our 60
Right.
months starts when we
kick that off, yeah.
All right.
So, I also mentioned there was another quote, this is not an actionable item, because it's already been approved, but you guys still wanted to see it. What you're seeing here is actually two quotes for the same project, okay, one's a software, which is 63 or 6,700, and then the other one is the actual physical hardware to it, which is 37,000.
Which project is this?
This is the host that we were talking about this
Okay.
morning, SimpliVity replacement of our server. So,
Because our current one
it's
is,
5 years.
And the hardware was what again?
The hardware was 37,000 on the second page there. Nope, yeah. 37,049.
You know what we paid for it 5 years ago?
Well, we actually paid for the whole system, it was 50 grand roughly. And that was for two nodes. So they upped the price on us over time.
Jake,
so.
is there any value or can you move these, the old host?
Mhm.
Can you sell these
Yes, absolutely.
or?
wipe them.
Wipe them and then resell them. Yeah, they're server, just like anything else. There's 24 cores in each one of them,
So
so
many might want it.
possibly, yeah.
I mean, rather than just junking it, if we can get something out of it.
Yep,
We're not
potentially.
trading a used car.
It'll have to go through a bidding process,
Yeah.
just because of the nature of the device. So, but yeah, we could absolutely do that.
Do you wipe that or do we send it somewhere?
I can wipe it. I've got devices that do that. I just got them Monday to wipe it, so. But yeah, it just comes just short of 40 grand. We budgeted 50 grand for it. So we're well within budget. Um,
And we already approved it. So
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, yeah. So, and I
He's
just,
kind of one of our expensive children, though.
I apologize. Now, I will mention, and this is just something, this is IT strategy, 3 to 5 years. We may want to reconsider the SimpliVity, because of, an acquisition of a piece of software called VMware, vSphere, okay? They're both synonymous. They were acquired by Broadcom, and they are changing the licensing of it, to a subscription-based model. That's what you're seeing on that quote. So,
you're saying it's gonna get more expensive and we need to look at other options.
well, it's gonna get more expensive over time for us if we continue with this option. Now, there are things that we can do, but it's long-term strategy wise.
Well, we got this for 5 years.
Yeah,
3.
3, that's for 3, yes, and then,
Subscriptions for 3.
yep.
For the
Yeah,
We'll have the
hardware.
hardware for 5.
Okay, the hardware.
so, well, the hardware's ours, that's a one-time fee.
Right. But if
So,
we
yeah.
replace it every
Rotate
5
that every
years.
Yeah.
Right, and you get
So-
pennies on the dollar every time you replace it.
Now, a little bit of sunlight on the horizon is that HP is developing their own software to replace VMware, okay? And we do have Hyper-V if we want to start considering that. The only thing is SimpliVity, HP stopped supporting Hyper-V for that piece of software, or for that hardware, but there's nothing saying that that can't come back. So, but there are options available to us, okay? So I'm not losing too much sleep over it, but it's something that we just need to be.
We just have to watch our costs. We don't wanna get into every 5 years, we're spending
Yeah,
40, 50,000 just on.
right,
hosts.
yeah, or just, well, yeah, that's,
Already
that
has
subscription,
system.
just that software.
That's
Right.
It could
like
get,
one.
it could blow up on us very quickly. I mean, AT&T has a class action lawsuit against Broadcom right now. Okay, just to put things in perspective.
Do any, companies have where if you pay for their subscription, they automatically update the hardware on a 5-year basis or something where we don't have to do that? It's just done through the subscription?
We do with the phone system. The phone system does that. So they, as far as other entities, I have not looked at them replacing the hardware as we go. I have heard of it. I just can't think of any examples off the top of my head.
Is there any, I mean, hardware gets expensive and
Yes.
if we're trading, I know it's our plan every 5 years,
Mhm.
but is there any assessment or valuations evals that you can do on your current hardware to tell you that? Like a checkup,
So say that.
like a checkup.
Like a
Bring your
checkup.
car in, I look it over,
Every 6 years.
Well,
just spread that out,
as far as the.
upgrade, I mean,
I'm
I'm
actually doing
saying,
that now.
you know, to say, oh, well, this hardware, yes, it's 5 years, but really it passes all smell tests. It could maybe last another 2 or 3 years.
Well, we're gonna do that here with one of the hosts. We're actually extending it out to 7 years, and that'll fall in line with that 5-year rotation of every 2 years we're replacing a device. And it's not like the whole forklift like we did back in 2019, 2020. The intent is to have that rotation regarding this. Now, that being said, okay, I have looked at an alternative option something called scale computing. Okay, it's significantly cheaper, both from the software and the hardware side, but it requires a forklift to get off of our current system. Okay, so there's an initial change. So, what's that?
We can borrow yours, right?
Just waiting
Yeah.
for your.
But scale, I've been eyeing scale really hard because the costs are considerably lower. Okay, we're talking 25,000 for both. So,
Kids all seem old.
yeah, I'm a leech.
You know, it's-
Yeah, I'm a leech.
What can we do? What can we do?
But scale is, a lot of the counties are going to
You
scale.
just drive through.
So,
I think with our budgets being more restricted.
I don't wanna talk to
the
them
revenue
more for how to
being
do
more
it.
down, we're gonna have to look at
So, and I've got an agenda item on this for tomorrow,
All right,
so.
All right, thanks, Jake.
talk
Yep, no
about that
problem.
in your,
All
all
right,
right,
thanks,
thank you, Jake. All right, we are at citizens input. What do we have for citizens input?
Yeah, me. Just to bring something to your guys' attention, I was at a EMA board meeting a few weeks back. When an employee was talked about, and it's all public record, so we all know who we're talking about. When the board was given the reason for him being let go, it was quoted that Greg was sent a paper, certified mail, saying that he was required to contact the board head within 2 weeks and then check in every 2 weeks after that. Okay, he gave the board false information. That's not what the letter says. So, looking at HR and other things, guys might want to talk about it. There's nothing in the letter at all about 2 weeks anything. Specifically, I'm talking 2 weeks. Was there things in the letter? Yes, but it had nothing to do with 2 weeks. So the board was informed improperly, so on how they should have been thinking about what was going on. And I have talked to, on Greg's behalf, an HR person and an attorney, and it could turn into something that's not good. So
I've not ever seen a
just
letter.
on you guys, I just want to make you aware of it.
This is a letter that was sent
It was a certified
from
letter
Greg to,
from Ty.
from,
It was sent from,
from EMA.
yeah, it was from EMA
Okay, to Greg.
to
I
Greg.
just wanna make sure,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I've not seen the letter, but, sure we could get a copy of it and see what it
and there's a
says.
copy right here if you want.
We want to bring it, that'd be
I'm
great.
sure
Thank
to
you,
go.
John. All right,
And that's the only letter you received is that.
all right,
You need this back?
Yeah. I got copies.
thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll look at it. Thanks, John.
All right.
Chad, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, I went out to the job site this morning. You've talked to Carrie
I have,
and, working on a plan to not dump sewage on another person's property. So I made a copy of this. I might not have enough, I might have to share, figure it out.
I don't have to share, good.
So what we got here is, well, we got two different ones to look at.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep one for myself, but anyway, so this is my proposal of the new septic system.
Okay.
Now, we'll have to sacrifice a tree. Dave, you were out there, that first tree, I had a footprint of 600 square foot. She thinks she wants 900 square foot to make this system work according to the code. So,
Based off 3
based
bedroom?
off 3 bedrooms.
Yep.
So then, on this other one, so she asked me this morning where the other system crosses. The best of my ability, the old system crosses this corner, if you will, which she doesn't want the new system on the footprint of the old. That's big deal. So in order to get this particular drain field in, I want to eliminate the tree and propose this. Cause she's texted me, she needs a map, a plan, and then Carrie has this.
Okay.
So I don't know what the next step is. She did text me, she wanted to deal with Corey.
The 2 week.
And Corey is at his dad's funeral. That is our DNR guru that we go to in all of our meetings and training. So in order to keep the sewage out of someone else's property, this is what I propose.
With this proposal, you will not need a variance.
I don't think so.
I mean, I did my 10-foot setback. I don't know where the property line is to what I would call the north, which would be where the electrical lines are over here and the phone line that I'm trying to not have to relocate. I could move this whole system that way, but that would require moving the utilities. And I don't want that expense added to what's already we've done.
Who gives final approval? Is Corey the one that gives approval or?
Cherry does, but you know, this is kind of new that we've, you know, that we're not, this is not the norm that we put in. But this is in the code and we, you know, trying to get footprint to put this septic in.
I'll give you this.
Has she responded with what? With.
She
what you've
has,
given her?
she said,
Okay.
her text said that she's messaging Corey and Corey's dad's funeral's today.
At the end of the day, if it did need a variance, I did get hold of Colin and, it would be the Public Board of Health. And that's what this was about this morning. Have you seen what's all
I
involved
have
in it?
not.
I just thought I'd share that with you. I sent a copy to Jim Brown, the real estate agent. Also, because the variance would have to be requested by the seller, asking the variance, and these are the questions, that would have to be satisfied. So then what would happen is they would present this to the Public Board of Health, and if the Public Board of Health chooses not to do it, then it would actually be the DNR. And the questions, you know, I kind of went through it, and they seem like things that we could answer, why we need it. But we needed to know if we even needed a variance before we would find this out.
I guess the big question is, where's the property line to the north? You know, I don't think I'll be in that footprint. You know,
But we did talk, we talked to the neighbor
yes,
to the south though, didn't we?
I talked to both.
We talked to both of them.
And if they had to get an easement to go into
We
that.
can't.
That wouldn't be a
It wouldn't be a
problem.
problem, but that'd be documented.
Right, so an easement, those happen all the time with these deals.
Right.
It gets entered into the actual,
I guess my biggest deal
Abstracting
is, I don't want an easement to drop sewage in someone else's property.
well, that, you know, we had the 4 options, you know, a couple of them were kicked out from the beginning and we've kind of, but we have to
In
have
all
the-
fairness, Chet, it is its own system that is supposed to be dropping. It's not like you have a tube going straight from
I
the
understand
tank
that.
out,
I
but
understand that, but again, I brought up, you know, pets.
I know,
This,
I'm just
that,
saying,
and
it's
everything.
its own
It's just not our,
treatment
It's treated.
facility.
it's
It's
not our
treated.
norm, yeah.
You know,
It's not what
It's
we,
not ideal, but
if we can
it's not
make,
just a pipe going straight off to your house.
right,
that's the way I visualized it too. And it would actually be the state of Iowa that would have to give us the okay for that.
A lot of kids grew up with that. Most of them, most of us.
And look at it.
Most of us are all right.
And look at it now.
Facility.
Minus my
So-
little twitch.
Most of us.
What we're
are
waiting
right.
for then would be Carrie to put her, because she's already given the okay to close this and do the septic system after the closing, which is an unusual, you know, not unusual, but a lot of times that septic system has to be done before the deed transfers over.
Yeah.
She's already signed up. They could go ahead and get the folks moved in as long as buyer and seller agree to the price, and Carrie agrees that she will approve it after the purchase. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. This is the best drawing I've seen since this all started,
That's all
kind
right.
of knowing that, we have room. I haven't seen it.
question,
I haven't seen
No,
any
no,
drawings
no.
though, so. Having it be the best doesn't mean I've seen a lot of them. This is just the most, accurate.
But got a future test.
But I just thought that you'd be interested in, don't give me crap. Interested in what would be involved. I just think that, you know,
So you're saying it has to go to.
no, it does not. We are waiting for Carrie to approve this. And if there's any variance as far as that there isn't the 900 square feet and we're encroaching on the old system.
that's the only concern I have, I can't prove
How far
to,
did she want you to stay away from
Not done
it?
reading yet.
Just,
the
we don't want to.
code would probably say 6 feet, but I don't know that part of it.
It's
I mean,
never
I thought, that's what she said that day we were there.
You know,
Yeah,
we're,
Be 6 feet from.
you look at this, we're close, I mean, dangerously close.
it's dangerously close. But if you had to go to the Public Board of Health and ask for a foot, you know, cause you're not a whole 6 feet in there, are you? I don't think.
With covering everything back up again, and then, you know, cause I wanted to make my job site safe. This is the best scenario I can come up with, you know? Because I had to close everything back up.
Yep,
You know, I was open to a liability there, and so I just had to close her up and make it safe till we get that decision made.
done a lot of work on this, a lot
Take the
of,
Etch-a-Sketch and shake it. Nobody knows where anything was at.
Well, that's kind of what happened, you know?
I mean, with all the experimenting and investigating you've
Yeah,
done,
he
I mean,
has.
there's really no.
You know, and the biggest thing is too, and I'll reiterate this, is Carrie and I dug a 6-foot hole. So if we encroached upon the old septic system, what our biggest goal is treat this water before it gets into our groundwater.
Yeah.
And what we found by digging that 6-foot hole is we didn't have a limiting layer. A limiting layer meaning hard clay or groundwater. It wasn't present. So I'm confident that we have our 3 foot of separation from any limiting layer. And we can safely put this particular bed system in.
What about your slope? Remember we looked at that day?
Slope's gonna be a little bit of an issue. I might be a little deep on one side but if we landscape that out, and cause I'm gonna have leftover dirt, okay? So I can skim this down and then layer it over top of the lower part and hopefully get some sort of a level bed and be in our, not deeper than 3 foot
yep,
is what we want. And, you know,
yeah. I just think we're so close, yeah.
I hope so.
When are you gonna hear back?
When,
I don't know.
yeah,
You know, the problem is she ordered the perk test last week and I got no response. I got nothing. Not it was good, not it was nothing.
So
It
you
was,
don't even know on the perk test if it passed?
well,
Yeah, I'm pretty
the
sure.
gentleman said it
I'm
passed
pretty
and
sure
we're
I got a
fine.
text that it did.
But it's like, I just got a 0. I got no communication for a whole week. And I didn't reach out to her either, so, you know, but we were out there Tuesday night late last week.
Yes, I've been there.
She had the results right away and my check to move forward, and we got, a whole
Sent
week
me a-
went by and
Sent me an email
no,
late yesterday afternoon.
but I didn't get, you know. And I've been busy too, so, and that's not an excuse. But I should have reached out, that's probably my bad, see where we at. And then I go out and make a footprint, and yes, if she wants 600 square foot, the tree's got a sacrifice. And I did talk to the new buyers. And they says, well, we wanna save the tree, but if it has to go, it has to go. So,
Well,
so we're at Carrie's mercy still, not trying to figure this out. And she's messaging Corey, but Corey's dad's funeral's today, so.
it's understandable.
Yeah, and that, we can't,
But I just want, get approval, my numbers are to Jim for this system. The other system is going, you know, surface discharge, and it's just about doubles the price. And then, not only that, the expense to the new owner, the contract agreement for someone coming and checking it every year, in 10 years, the $2,500 expense of the new filters, and the $2,500, I'm guessing, to install it. You know, so in 10 years, they got a $10,000 expense. Do I think I can make this last more than 10 years? Absolutely. There's not a doubt in my mind. The old system lasted for 20+ years.
did.
With no maintenance.
But no maintenance.
What you said.
No maintenance,
No maintenance.
no, and we've improved, we're gonna put a filter on it, we're gonna tell the new owner to pump the tank 3 to 5 times a year. I mean, every 3 to 5 years.
Sounds like a good plan. Let's just wait to hear from Carrie. You've done a lot of work.
But, yeah, I mean, this is the best of my ability. Like you said, the etch and sketch, what if I'm here? What if that lateral's right there in that corner?
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it
I
gonna be,
don't know.
what my point is it gonna be that detrimental to, if you're overlapping a little bit, is it gonna?
That's where that variance comes in, I
Well,
do believe.
Because
Maybe we
Iowa
can do
code
that.
says you have to be 6 feet away from any old
So maybe,
laterals.
But you've done so much, how do you even know where they really were anymore?
well, the thing is too, and I propose this, if we do come into contaminated soil, bring in rock, bring in some sort of material to make that difference up, but
Code says no.
the code says no, and, you know, Carrie's got her heels dug in pretty tight on this deal, and so, you know, that's where we might need this variance that says we need this extra square footage, and
That's why we wanted to see what the variance all said.
is that,
We would
I
know
mean,
if
I
we
didn't
could
read
answer.
it, is that in there that we could cross that corner?
Go to public health and get that variance?
That's what we'd have to do.
Okay.
So
That might be your next
Public
step.
health meeting
we
once a
could
month,
call a
or
special meeting.
call a special meeting?
Call a
Yeah.
special meeting.
Yeah.
24-hour notice, so.
So that, I mean, that is a concern, and I drew the map, did I miss it? But do we, what if I'm wrong?
Oh, Carrie has it now and she'll.
What if I'm wrong? Do we need to get that variance in place just in case?
Might not hurt to have that meeting, call Gene and just say, hey, if this comes to this, does you
And
have the
I
variance to
did
keep
not want to
moving?
do it until we kind of had a little bit closer, and, so that's why I went ahead and got this, so I would know what questions needed
Well,
to
if
be
it does
asked.
lay in there and you're fine, you know, you're not.
That's exactly right, that's exactly right.
What
But-
if?
I personally wanted to see what these questions were, and what the variance all said. We're proactive on it, we
Right,
talked to the
Terry,
county
I mean,
attorney on what we need to do. County attorney, geared us towards the public board of health. Carrie gave me this, so we're ready for what we need to do at this next step, but we're so much further than we were last week. Again,
Yeah, you feel like.
Yeah, I feel like we've been hit by a train.
well, maybe we are in the twilight
I
zone.
think the big
don't
thing
know.
though is we got locked down, it's a 3-bedroom house.
Got it locked down. Got a video if anybody wants to see it.
Blood help.
You're waiting on Corey to come back and DNR standpoint of how this works out. I still got the option of going to public health for a variance. if it
We
doesn't.
do. And I needed to make sure it wasn't, I think the variance wasn't, and Carrie's gonna give her,
There's my opinion, Mark. You guys were on the job site, that might make a little more sense to you, that tree needs to leave,
I've now been there 4 times.
but, so I don't know. I had my tape
It's
measure
smarter every
out,
time I go.
you know, my measurements come up with 912 square feet to do this 38 by 24 print. I don't know.
Yep, exactly.
And you need a 9, so you're.
Yeah, just to tick over, but, you
And you
know,
can't, and that's what I asked Carrie too, you can't section off 12 square feet like that, because they have to be all
it
square.
should be square and equal distribution to all the laterals.
Right. So how it flows out through the system.
Looks pretty darn close to me, but that's what this form is.
That's my goal. That's, you know, I don't want a triangle, you know, I don't want just here's a drain field, now we gotta do this and this, I can get more square footage here. But now how do I get even distribution
Right.
through, now I got short runs. I just,
You can't cut a corner off because it has to be equal distribution.
that's my goal.
Right.
We're allowed 10%. You know, in the code.
You know the code.
Every lateral can be within 10% of the other one. You know, if I run into a tree, I can drop one back to 90 feet instead of 100. You know, but I can't go over 100, I can't make one 110, because the code says 100.
I don't think you've
I
done
mean,
this
it's
before.
tight. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know. So
Well,
that's
Carrie,
my proposal.
I'll
She
call
has
Carrie.
it.
I'll call her.
She has both these prints. She wanted a plan. Again,
Yep.
this is me out there with the Etch-a-Sketch. So, very good work.
Thank you for not quitting.
I just wanna get this through, you know,
I know,
gravity,
I know.
no maintenance, low maintenance
Yeah.
system for everyone at hand.
And we have to get the buyer and the seller to agree on the system too. The buyer has agreed to pay for this particular system, if I remember correctly.
Correct. But not, you know, the other one, I don't
And
know,
the-
my bid was 26,000 versus 15,000. And that doesn't include your maintenance
Right,
contract.
right. So the seller would rather have this one also, but they don't really get to say.
Right.
So, yep, there we go.
Okay,
Fun
thank
and
you guys
games.
for your time.
Yep.
Thanks for coming in.
You're
So,
welcome. Thank you very much.
we're,
I'll call
I hope
Karen.
they don't bid this out and award a bid to somebody different.
that'd be fine.
Chad, now stop it.
Oh, man.
We're gonna be there when it's done. So
Okay,
thank you
thank you
very
again.
much. Appreciate
Same,
it.
Chad.
Appreciate it.
Chad, take your hat off. You do look like your dad.
Oh, stop.
I haven't seen you without a hat on for like 30 years.
Peggy, you got anything today?
He's had big, that kind of hair.
Peggy? No, you're good? All righty, thanks for joining us. Otherwise, the citizens' input is over. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all in favor, aye.
All right.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody.
You're done.
Yeah. Not too bad.
You know,
We're having one item on the agenda.
Jake contacted me after that day. So he didn't even fit that.
So do you think they'll come to an agreement on that road thing, or
Something
they'll just, it'll stay
All right.
that way
I
then
think they
forever?
will, as long as they
That's
move the
what I
gates.
told him, but he's never contacted.
All right, we're adjourned.
I don't think that.
All right.
Went to this. the
It's
two-
that-
You know,
I watched only
I mean,
twice
I
this
think
time
Jim
we
makes a
get
good
up.
point.